Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Young Turks Back to Basics. I'm Shruti Mishra. Joining me today is Avnish Bajaj, founder and managing partner of Matrix Partners India, an investment firm with more than $700 million under management. Some of its marquee investments are Ola, Quikr, Practo and LimeRoad. Avnish, thank you so much for joining us here today. The last 2 years have been difficult for startups. The euphoria seems to have lost. Startups have been forced to either shut down or restructure. What is your view of this irrational exuberance?
I think all of us in the ecosystem, we tend to be a bit too manic depressive about the startup sector. Believe it or not, that's how it's supposed to work. If startup ecosystem was meant to be going linearly, everybody would be a great entrepreneur.
True.
It would not be the Elon Musks and the Steve Jobs and the Bhavish Agarwals and all of that, right? So, creative destruction, if you want to call it that, some kind of a chaotic existence is what makes startup investing difficult and challenging. It's also what makes it exciting, and it's what differentiates the great entrepreneurs from the rest. So, going back to your question, to me the last 2 years were very much part of what should be happening.
Okay.
Let me take you back 10 years. If I look in the last 10 years, and I was thinking about this the other day, how many normal years would we have had if I look at the startup ecosystem? Probably 2. 2014-15 bubble, 2016 bust, 17 I'm hoping normal, but I'm generally wrong. 10-11 bubble, 12-13, you get the drift, right? If you go and do it, you'll find there are 2 normal years. Those are the years that we try to actually invest very fast, because like if you look at all our good investments, it was made in the normal years of 12-13. And then everything kind of went up. So this is normal.
Okay.
This is how it is meant to be. If it is not this, then the normal checks and balances that come in to weed out the excesses for the right types of entrepreneurs to come out, people not just chasing short-term money, valuation, all of that wouldn't come into play. So the way I see it is, this is normal. This is a normal year. A lot of what happened last year was painful but great. Some of our own companies are well known to have corrected in valuation. It's normal. Stock price is correct, right? So that's how we look at it.
All right, now let me talk to you about one of your portfolio companies that has been in the news lately, Stayzilla.
That's not normal. That's bad.
Yes, so Matrix Partners has been a prominent investor in Stayzilla. You first invested in the company way back in October 2013 in a Series A, then again in Series B in February 2015. We all know what's happening with Stayzilla. As an investor, has your confidence shaken considering you've lost a lot of money?
As a firm, our philosophy is to invest in founders. We invested in Yogi and we invested in Stayzilla. But we talk more about founders than about companies. We still believe in Yogi. Now, did the company work out? Did the idea work out? Obviously not. That's also part of the fact that, in venture investing, in startups, not everything works. Should Yogi have done things differently? Obviously. If you've lost $34 million, that's not a good outcome for it. And he himself will be the first person to acknowledge it, right? And he's been talking about that. Have we lost faith in startup investing? Absolutely not.
But has it shaken your faith in Stayzilla?
The model that we bet on in Stayzilla did not work. That's now a given. We have lost money in it, right? Do I believe in Yogi as an entrepreneur? I do. Do I believe that he did the best he could? I do.
So I'm curious to know that why there is no mention of Stayzilla on your website in the section of your portfolio companies.
So investments fail. When investments fail, certain things happen. We step off the board. We write them off. We write to our investors saying we have lost money in this, and we take it off our website. This is a normal process. It had actually happened much before all of this stuff happened.
I think December onwards.
No, February. February is when we had a conversation with Yogi, which was very open. And we said, okay, this is now a write-off for us. We will be stepping off the board. This will no longer be showed in our active portfolio. Our investors will hear about this. This is all normal. Now, because these two events happened so quickly next to each other, Frankly, I can see the conspiracy theorists saying, oh, it was because of this. But it's not, and Yogi knows it. Frankly, I don't care what others think.
One of the allegations on Yogendra Vasupal, founder of Stayzilla, was of money being siphoned out. Your response to that allegation?
I believe it's bullshit. And I think it is, look, the way investors manage companies, and I don't think people often recognize it, it's reasonably hands-off.
Yeah.
Right? Well, there's involvement, but it's oversight. So, in fact, this particular dispute we didn't even know of until the arrest situation happened. This particular one.
Yeah.
Did we know that there are bills to be paid and at the same time we have a lot of receivables that we have to get from hotels? Absolutely.
Of course.
But at that aggregate level, not at a specific level. So, does that leave opportunity for founders to siphon off money? Always does. Do I believe that Yogi did it? Absolutely not. Do we have enough checks and balances when it comes to audits, internal audits? Yes. And it was an absolutely clean report. I think that was just, the other side, the complainant, trying to get some, momentum against Yogi.
Recently in an exclusive with CNBC TV18, Yogendra just mentioned that he's looking at shifting gears to B2B. So do you think this is the way forward for Stayzilla? And also, will you always be there as an investor for him?
When we invested in Stayzilla, we invested in an idea that Yogi had. We believed in the idea and in Yogi. I still believe in Yogi. I believe that the idea he's going after is more in line with who he is. And I think part of it is you go through a certain journey. Then you realize a bit more about what you are good at and what you like versus what you are not. And I think he's reached the conclusion that his whole skill set is better served on the B2B side, less on the consumer side. We are existing investors. We have told him that in the new business we'll be helping him get started. And then we'll take it from there. Are
you worrying about the funds being utilized, considering the fact that the company funds were used for his bailout, 40 lakh rupees?
First of all, the company funds were not used. They have been put as a surety. Okay. Let me step back. Once we invest in a company, whatever is happening with the company, as long as people are doing the right thing. By definition, a company always insures against any action against its officers, directors, all of that, as long as they are acting within the bona fides, right? Which is the case here. So this is normal thing for the company to do. We have already lost our investment, right? So whatever is left in the company was left with the thought process of saying, okay, our investment is gone. We can't lose more than 100% of our investment. We've lost 100%, right? And I'm sure we'll get into a discussion around what needs to change. But there is an issue there. How does one do an orderly winding down of a business?
You also went through a similar experience over 10 years ago. For someone who has tasted that bitter pill, how does one deal with the loopholes and the deficiencies in the system? We're talking about Startup India policy, but what really needs to change on ground?
That experience, and I'm sure with Yogi the same thing has happened, that experience in that moment is very traumatic, more emotionally than physically. But ultimately, something very good came out of my experience, right? And I would argue, even though at that time it seemed like the government was against me, it was actually the government that actually came and modified the laws, took inputs from everybody, and today the new IT Act, which ensures against the same thing that happened to me cannot happen to others, is a very progressive law. I'm hoping something like this can come out of this. If it doesn't, it is a problem. But even the kind of things that other side was doing to him, sending voodoo dolls and this and that, if there should be criminal action against that. If those kind of things are allowed in the ecosystem, it's a big problem. And my view is, institutionally, this case has to result in some changes.
Do you feel startups that fail need to be treated by a separate bankruptcy or a civil law rather than criminal law?
The answer is absolutely, but I haven't done enough research into it. Companies should be able to go to a bankruptcy court. They should solve everything in the bankruptcy court. If in that process, some criminal wrongdoing is found, then criminal action should be allowed. And I think that's what happens in the US, where you first have to go through civil. And see, criminal action can, by definition, should only be done where there is intent. And that can be discovered in that process. So I think that needs to happen.
All right. On that note, it's time to take a short break. But don't go anywhere as we talk to Avnish about the stigma attached to failure and Matrix Partners India's investment strategy going forward. Stay tuned.